Thank you very much, TJ. It's good to be here with everybody. Always good to be in Lincoln County. I have had the opportunity to appear at this Rotary Club I don't know how many times. I think I've lost count by now, but I try to get back as often as I can. And I have enjoyed my time speaking at the Lincoln County Rotary, and I enjoy representing Lincoln County. I appreciate you all having me as your representative. It means a lot. I consider it to be a tremendous honor and a very great responsibility to go up to our nation's capital and to try to wrestle with some of these really weighty issues that we're dealing with in the country. I have had a long association with Lincoln County, as Thomas Jefferson IV knows, and it's a relationship that goes back to it goes back to my grandfather and beyond. And our family has known many people in this wonderful county for generations. So every time I come here, I can assure you it's a tremendous pleasure. And it's always better to be in Lincoln County than it is to be in Washington. I can tell you that. It's a tremendous joy. I never lose sight of the fact that this is one of the original 3 counties in the whole Commonwealth of Kentucky, and I know everybody who lives here is very proud of that fact. It's I guess it isn't quite what it used to be. I think it was a little bit bigger to begin with, and it got pared down a lot, but Lincoln County has a storied history, and it's a very special place, and I'm proud to represent the county and the people who live here. Now, what's going on in Washington, as you can imagine, is a lot. A whole lot of things are going on. We're wrestling with some of the weightiest issues I think that our country's really ever had to grapple with, and we're wrestling with them it seems like all at once. We've got a lot of things going on, and I'll talk about some of these things. I want to talk particularly about what's going on in Afghanistan and Iraq, which we don't hear about that much. Not like we used to. You know, Iraq was all on the front pages, and suddenly it's receded, and you would think that there wasn't anything going on there now. Afghanistan has ramped up some, and it's become a much more difficult undertaking. I'll talk about that in a minute. But what people here in central Kentucky are most concerned about, and there's no question about it in my mind, is the state of our economy and the need to get people employed. And you hear a lot about folks talking about the deficit. You hear that talked about quite a bit. And it is a very real problem. There's no question about it. But the only way, in my view, to fix the deficit, or the first way, and the most important way, the essential way, is to get our people employed. That'll get it fixed quicker than anything. And I think we've got to keep focus on the need to employ our people in this country. There are a lot of things that the Congress has been doing to try to get that done. You all are, I'm sure, familiar with the Recovery Act, but there are a lot of other things. There are a lot of tax cuts that have taken place for small businesses to try to get them moving. A whole host of things have been done, and we're going to have to keep doing them. We're going to have to continue the effort to make sure that our people are employed and focus on it. It has to be job 1, 2, 3, and 4. You know, we have to focus on that above and beyond everything else, and we will focus on that. I believe that once we get our folks employed, you're going to see the deficit come down. When we get this economy really moving, you're going to see the deficit come down. One of the main things we've got to do in this country, in my opinion, and I've felt this way for some time, and I feel the urgency more now than ever, is we have got to get things manufactured in this country. We've got to be making things in the United States of America. There's no substitute for it. We have lost untold numbers of manufacturing jobs in this country to countries overseas. Our own big international and national and international companies are shipping jobs overseas, and it's not like it's just happening today. This has been going on for probably 40 years plus, and it's been a steady outflow of jobs for a very long time. And I think that's one of the things that we're dealing with, the fallout of that loss of manufacturing jobs for a very long period. One of the things that I think we need to do, and we need to do it right away, I've already voted a time or two for measures to do this, is get rid of the tax breaks that have been given to the companies that are shipping jobs overseas. That's happened in the past. We have actually, our country has given tax breaks to companies that send our jobs to China and to other places, and that's got to stop. And we've just got to make it a point of stopping it. Now, I want to touch a little bit on what's going on overseas, because it's really a very, very difficult situation, and we're spending enormous sums of money and, of course, our blood, which is even more important. We're spending the blood of our young men and women in overseas efforts in Afghanistan and Iraq. I want to mention Iraq first. You don't hear about it because we're actually winding the effort in Iraq down. A lot of people don't know this, but we've only got about 50,000 troops in Iraq now. Now that's a lot. That's still a lot, of course. But we're down from about 150,000. So we have drawn down our forces in Iraq pretty dramatically, and we're making strong efforts to try to wind that down and give the country, make sure that the country is given back to the Iraqi leadership and let them deal with it. That's the only way it's going to work in any of these countries, is if their own leadership takes control and deals with the issues that they have to deal with. The Afghanistan thing is a little different, and I think it's a different war to begin with. If you all recall, Afghanistan, we invaded Afghanistan after the 9/11 attacks, and we invaded Afghanistan as what we believed in this country was a war of necessity. We had information, intelligence that showed that we were being attacked from Afghanistan, from safe havens that Al-Qaeda had in Afghanistan. And it was felt almost unanimously. Nothing's ever unanimous in this country, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But we felt very strongly, and public opinion felt very strongly, that we needed to go over there and we needed to deal with that difficulty. And that's something, folks, that we're going to be dealing with for quite some time, this problem of terrorism, this problem of people creating these terrorist cells in countries that, for one reason or another, are unable to police themselves. And that's the reason that we're in Afghanistan. But in order to make Afghanistan safe in the future, safe from these terrorist cells, we have got to make the effort to get that government and the local governments throughout Afghanistan up on their feet and make them not want to live that way. We've got to help them produce agriculturally and in other ways so that they can have some kind of civil society, and they'll be able to deal with these things themselves. We've got lots of troops over there, many more in Afghanistan now than we have in Iraq, and we've got lots and lots of civilian effort over there. People on the civilian side trying to teach the Afghan people what they need to do to be productive, to not grow illicit drugs for their economic use. There's a real problem there, and has been for a long time. But to also have the kind of society that won't engender the creation of these terrorist cells. This has been a goal both of the Bush administration and now the Obama administration. They followed through on this and have been rather consistent in it. But it's going to take a great effort, and we now, you may have seen the news not too long ago where there was a change in command in Afghanistan. General McChrystal was replaced because he got himself into a little trouble with his some of the things he said, and they brought General Petraeus in, who had so much success in Iraq. What we need to do, I believe, is let General Petraeus work his plan and try to get that thing in a decent situation so we can get our people back home as soon as possible. I think that's what we're trying to do, and hopefully we'll be successful in that effort. But don't think for a minute that it's going to be easy. It's not easy, and I think we all hopefully understand that it's not easy. Now, as you all probably are aware, the political environment in this country has been very interesting of late. And I think it's largely because people are distressed about the economy, and I don't blame them. There are a lot of people, as you know, who are out of work. There are a lot of people who, if they're not out of work, they're concerned that they might be. And I'm deeply concerned about that, deeply concerned about what we're going to be able to do and how we're going to be able to handle that. And hopefully we'll be able to handle it well, but I can assure you that an enormous amount of work is going on to try to give us a better economy. But there have been a number of contentious issues that have been dealt with by this Congress. You all may have noticed some of them. One was an energy bill that was very contentious. One was a health care bill that was very contentious. Another was the Recovery Act, which was very contentious. And it was interesting. I've always thought that the public in this country and the people here in this district were very divided on issues like those. And oddly enough, one of the cable companies, the cable company in Lexington, Insight Communications, did a poll just last week. And they asked questions on those three very contentious issues. And it was fascinating for me to see the result. On the health care issue, 48% of the people in this district were against the health care issue, and 43% were for it. On energy, 41 were in favor of the energy bill, and 40 were against it, or 42 and 41, it was something like that. And on the Recovery Act, 44% were for it, and 41 were against it. Fascinating numbers in my mind, because what they tell you is that the country is split right down the middle. It's amazing. All three of those very contentious issues that have been dealt with in Congress, people are divided on the issues. So it's been an interesting process trying to, as a representative of the people of Central Kentucky, trying to work my way through all of those issues and trying to make determinations about what I believe is the right thing for the people that I represent. And I can assure you that I'm doing my very best to get the facts and to make the calls that are right and appropriate for the folks here in Central Kentucky. But what it points out is no matter which side you end up on the issue, it's going to be split. You're going to make half the people happy and half the people mad. And that's the society that we're living in right now. One that's very, very split, and feelings are running quite high about a lot of these issues. But when it's split like that, somebody in my position, there's only one thing I can do, and that's try to make the call that I believe is the right one. And that's what I'm trying to do every single time on behalf of the people that I represent. I've got 3 children who are in the public schools here in Central Kentucky. We never moved to Washington. I have to go up there to work on your all's behalf, but I come home just as soon as I can, and my family is still here, and I live here. So we feel very deeply about this area, the people who live here, and I want to make the best decisions that I can make on your behalf. And I appreciate the fact that everybody stays in close contact with me. You all let me know how you feel, and please keep doing that on all of the issues that we face in the future. Please keep me as informed as you can about what you want, and I'm going to do my very best to keep in contact with you and make sure that I know what you want and make the best decisions I can. With that, I'll be happy to open it up for questions.